And I tell them how I used to lead workshops in New York for hundreds of people. And then when I read the evaluations, if some lady said I did something wrong, I would cry in my spaghetti and beat myself up for the one or two things that people said. So, doing all of this yoga and meditation and self-awareness, it doesn't take away your humanity. You still have your humanity. You're just managing it. Does that make any sense? And
Yes.
the things that Nick is bringing on the program and that I'm sharing with you and the books that we're reading, they're all about tools for managing your humanity. Why? Not because you need to get better. Scratch that.
Welcome to your Wordless podcast, the space where we redefine success, self worth, and transformation. I am Nick Nieras, the soul centered architect of transformation, helping you unlock your highest potential and build a legacy beyond limits. Now, whether it is self mastery, career breakthroughs, or wealth creation, this is where change begins. Now, let's dive in. So, Joanna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Nick. Where do I start? Who am I? I'm a lifelong learner. I keep looking to learn what's next. I'm interested. Like I was interested in finding out about you. I just looked you up on YouTube. I was listening to all of your videos and I want to know more about life and I want to make myself the best I can be. And I know what makes me happy and what makes me happy is contributing. Being clear, going inward to myself, learning more and more ways of expanding my consciousness and then sharing this with other people and helping them do the same. So, as a lifelong learner and a lifelong teacher, that's just what I do best. I mean, as a kid, I loved school. I lived in Bronx, New York, and everything was about school. It was about excelling, about loving my teacher and going home and studying. And I remember my mom always saying to me, "Don't worry, you'll get an A." And I always did. And that was what my life was. And then I became a teacher, and then I became a teacher of teachers, and then I just kept growing. And I got interested in yoga at one point, and that got me out of my head into my heart,
Oh, I love
my
that.
body. So I didn't have to be hyper excellent at anything. I just had to be and let go and trust and drop in more. I call meditations drop-ins. My students say they don't know how to meditate. I said, but can you drop in? So a meditation is dropping into an inner awareness. And so I forget what year it was. A friend invited me to a yoga retreat and I went that weekend and I felt so great that I signed up for the yoga teacher training with very little experience doing yoga. My first yoga teacher training. And I've been taking trainings my whole life. It's as if I learn about something new and my consciousness expands and gee, I want to know that. I like what that contributes and what that gives me to share with other people. Mhm. So that's how it went from yoga to shamanic and onward to other different techniques. They all dovetail. All of the techniques are about bringing out your best. It's just different tools, just like so many paths to God, so many religions. There's just so many tools about how to look at going inside and monitoring your energy. And so, it's just such a big question. Who am I? I'll get back to you in a few years when I figure it out. I'm growing. I'm changing. I'm not stopping. I'm like the unsinkable Molly Brown, you know.
Hi, I'm Nick Nieras, your host of the Your Wordless podcast. Now, if these real raw stories hit home, don't wait. Please follow, like, and subscribe my Spotify and YouTube. For bite-sized inspirational reels, follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Don't wait. Your transformation starts today. Thank you, and bye for now.
You said it in your interview with Gloria McDonald. You were laughing at, once believing that life began at 30. Well, I'm starting new things. I have a new training that I'm starting in May called Mastery in Psych K, Mastery in Facilitating Psych K. So it feels like, there's just always more. And what I love is that I'm a developing being. I'm growing. I wrote a book about these 10 yoga principles. I live them. And sometimes I don't. And when I don't, I notice and I shift back. So it's like I think our job is to manage our humanity. Go into the places where you don't feel all right about yourself. Recognize them, manage them, do what you're going to do to work with them and get beyond them. So I'm about managing my humanity. I'm about I love thrift shopping. I love cooking. I love being with my friends. I love doing my prayer walks out in the Red Rocks. I love doing yoga. I love meditation. I love binging on Netflix series sometimes or Hallmark movies. Must admit, I love reading. I love traveling. I have best friends around different places, so we always get to take unlimited. I have unlimited miles because everything I put on a mileage credit card, and I fly everywhere. So I love travel. I'm a developing being, and I've just studied so many different things that I give people a menu. What would you like to do? Like tomorrow, I have a healing session with somebody who feels stuck. You know what I mean? I can offer her a variety of different things that I'm learning and I have learned, and I'm continuing to expand my knowledge of and my practice of. And these techniques that I work with on other people, I work with on myself. It's wonderful. It's all about, I call myself a self cleaning oven. You know what I mean? It's about just staying clear and alive and feeling good about yourself and not lying to yourself when you don't. You know what I mean? When you don't, it's there. And what am I going to do about this? So that's kind of a long answer, dovetailing around your question. Who am I? I'm Johanna. And you know what I mean? I play all the roles: teacher, learner, daughter, sister, friend. I'm not a mother in this lifetime. And I think that's one of the graces was that I was to do my work, as opposed to I have a lot of friends who are really devoted grandmas. And can you ask me any questions in specifically about who I am? I'm a practicer of lots of different techniques and lots of different religions. I was raised Italian Catholic, so especially Christmas time, I'm very Catholic, but I'm more spiritual than I am any devoted religion. Okay. But
Yes.
when I do my prayer walk, I always start with Hail Mary and Our Father. I was raised,
Exactly.
if I walk
Yes.
the street and somebody's behind me and I'm scared, I'll start to say a Hail Mary. So
Hail
that's
Mary. Exactly.
then I'll go on to Sanskrit mantras. Yeah, Sanskrit mantras, shamanic prayers to the four directions. It just goes on and on and on. And so going to school all those years was about expanding my mind and getting credentials and getting PhD. And then starting with yoga and going through all of the different avenues of yoga training and meditation training was about letting go of my head and going into my body and my heart and my oneness of being. And then the shamanic work was more about connecting with the universe, understanding the four directions and the earth and the stars and the dimensions of the world and how that affects us. So then I I I went, wow, I never felt so connected. And the thing that happened at the pandemic was I didn't have yoga hikes to lead and take people to do yoga. I just do yoga with you and I talk to you about your stuff. You talk to me about your stuff. You know what I mean? And I with their permission, we'll make suggestions and we do techniques and drop-ins and exercises, etc. But during the pandemic, no work. I went out to the park myself. The Rock State Park was empty. And that's when I started my prayer walk. Nobody was there. If I met one person, it was a lot. And I would go up trails around the Red Rocks. I have a whole chapter on it in my book, and say all the prayers I knew in my life and um, connect with even though whatever's going on, I have a connection to the divine. I have a connection to the earth. I have a connection to these red rocks. I have a connection to these plants and those birds. And just feeling that's what I got from the shamanic training, the connectedness to the vastness of the universe. So, also during the pandemic is when people write their books.
Yeah. And when they start cooking, become chefs
It's chefs, right? Or redecorate our houses and all the wonderful things that we did.
themselves. It's actually not about themselves. It's about the evolution of their being, because it does not come from here. It comes from the awareness. It comes from here. It comes from somebody posed me a question. I used to ask myself that, whether consciously or subconsciously. And then we dive in. We let ourselves we immerse ourselves in those questions. Like, why I think I could resonate is because I had my own spiritual awakening, or I started this journey 2019 when I had my divorce. And then also that's the time COVID happened. That is like the universe saying to me, okay, Nick, I've planted something in you since you were a kid. You had a vision, but you thought of one way to get to that. Or at least I thought. So, and then something had to happen. There were also signs. There were signs to say, hey, this is enough. You've done enough and you've got to pivot. And I didn't heed to that. And because of what? Because of fear. Fear of leaving what I've always known so long that I have lived. And it's the process of letting go and unlearning the narrative that I had for myself. And especially the judgment, that the importance of what I think people should perceive me as. I think that's the biggest challenge I had to overcome, because I was also taught, I think you mentioned, to get ahead in life, you have to get all the grades. You have to be good in school, get the job, get the money, bring the bacon, get the bag, and then you're set for life. But it's not like that. And life humbled me in the it was my, I would say, tower moment 5 years ago. So since then, it's actually also the impetus of why I started my podcast. So, and I've started listening to all these, to personal development, self help, Tony Robbins, and also I started dipping my toes into spiritual healing as well. And I was born and raised as a Catholic, but then I had this curiosity that there's a reason why people created religion and all the other teachings in the world, Western and Eastern, were all, what is that common denominator? I asked myself, if we could just one thing, if you could collapse everything into one, what is that? We all start with a cell and everything is energy, right? What is that energy that connects us all? So I started learning about light and dark, duality, and we're here 80, and there's so many dimensions, and everything happens in the spiritual first before it manifests in the physical. So that that's my a bit of my story, Joanna, and why I love talking about it. I could go on. I mean, I should probably maybe in the future have another podcast just talk about the universe, quantum physics, and everything it comes with it. Joanna, I want to talk to you about the one thing that you mentioned earlier. You stop going into you stop going into your mind and you began operating from the heart. Now, today, I think we both did operate from that at some point, right? What does it mean by going out from your stop operating from your mind and then going into your heart? What does it mean in the simplest term?
It means a lot. It means, first of all, I'm never not in my head.
We all are, yes.
You know what I mean? But it's like not being solely into my head. So that's a wonderful question. I'm just trying to ponder the answer. So it's sort of like we don't know, and yet we think we know. So it's like walking around like Johanna knows.
Mm.
Like what I think is so, very, very, very quickly. Like if I think it's so, it must be so. Well, yoga teaches that your perceptions can be incorrect. You know what I'm saying? So it's about not being a walking mental calculator, a walking cell phone, a walking mental calculator, but being someone who connects. I think the good word is connect. For me, it's connection, contribution. Connecting is different when you do it from the heart. Your brain is always there saying yes or no to you. You can't help that, especially if you're type A, guilty. Okay. And so you're there, but the heart helps you to feel situations out. The heart helps you to know more. And the body knows. I muscle test my decisions all the time. My body, through muscle testing, will tell me if it's a yes or if it's a no. And my head might have one decision, but I'll muscle test that and see if it's valid. And my body will say, yes, it is, no, it isn't. It's a shift to seeing yourself, I guess we would say, as a spiritual being in a body rather than a body who's spiritual. That's not original, but it's very true. Getting out of your head into your heart and body and your environment and nature and connecting with a force that's larger than us. And you could call it God, you could call it Mother Nature, you could call it Source, you could call it the divine essence, whatever it is, to connect with a higher source. And I very much want to not gainsay religions. One of my best friends, Pessy, who's married to a rabbi who just passed, she she celebrates Shabbos and the weekend. She won't use the phone, the computer. She just prays. It is the most beautiful, devoted thing that I have ever seen. That's her path. It's not mine. So, whatever your path is, if it's a traditional religion, I'm thrilled for you because that means you connect with it. So, basically, getting out of your head means getting into your spiritual essence. It's called body, mind, and spirit. The mind is never out. But we train the mind a little bit with our mindfulness and our psychological techniques and our exercises and our awareness. And so much value comes from, you can call it meditation, I call it drop in. And what I do with guests, and anybody who's listening can do this now, is as our Nick would say, stop everything and just close your eyes and follow your breath through your nostrils inside. Okay. And you could drop into your heart. There's a whole science called heart math, which invites you to slow down your breath, drop into your heart, and focus on something you really care about and appreciate. So you close your eyes and you follow your breath in and you slow your breath down. And then you breathe into your heart and you feel your heart beating. And then you think of someone you love, the beautiful people in your life. I think of sometimes my best friend or a baby, grandchild. And while your heart is beating and you're focused on your heart and you're feeling that caring, that appreciation, and you're slowing your breath down, you just welcome it. And you can do all sorts of things. You can end with an affirmation, something you affirm or claim for yourself. But you've just dropped in for a moment and you got into your heart space. And then it's okay, what's next? I've got to answer these emails. So that's my answer about, getting out of your head into your spirit, your heart, and who knows where your soul is, your heart, your soul, your spirit, the best part of you. When you drop in, you go into the best part of you. The best part of you is what we call in yoga the monkey mind. It's going, I should have done this. I could have done that. I didn't do that right. I have to do that better.
Yes.
I promise you, when I finish this interview, I'm not going to worry about anything I said or didn't say. I'm just going to tell myself, Johanna, don't go there. You're in the moment. You said what came to you was
Exactly.
good enough. When I was a high school teacher and a teacher trainer, there was a book called The Good Enough High School. And a woman wrote the introduction saying that she's a mom and she's always been, worried about being a better mom and not being good enough. And one day she declared herself the good enough mom. And she used that as the introduction to the Good Enough High School. Well, I'm declaring myself the Good Enough speaker, the Good Enough author, and hopefully letting you be interested enough to want to look further into my book. But it's about what we do to ourselves, and the name of the podcast, Your Worthless Podcast, the ways we beat ourselves up. When I do a workshop, I show people that I could stand up and kick myself in the rear end with one leg.
Hey love, it is Nick Nieras here. And if you've been feeling stuck, burnt out, or like you're meant for more, but don't know where to begin, I have got something for you. This isn't just about mindset work, it's about deep soul healing, subconscious rewiring, and remembering who you really are. Now, I created a free self hypnosis audio to help you release the noise and reconnect your inner truth in just 10 minutes. You will feel the shift immediately, I promise. And if you are ready to go deeper, explore my digital guides designed to help you overcome fear, activate your confidence, and find clarity in your next move. They are your next step before full transformation. But if your soul is saying, I am ready, then apply for a one to one coaching with me. This is where we do the real work, transforming your blocks, aligning your life, and unlocking the confident, magnetic version of you that creates wealth your way. Head to the show notes now. Your new chapter starts with one small yes. Now let's get back to the video you're watching.
And I tell them how I used to lead workshops in New York for hundreds of people. And then when I read the evaluations, if some lady said I did something wrong, I would cry in my spaghetti and beat myself up for the one or two things that people said. So, doing all of this yoga and meditation and self-awareness, it doesn't take away your humanity. You still have your humanity. You're just managing it. Does that make any sense? And the
Yes.
things that Nick is bringing on the program and that I'm sharing with you and the books that we're reading, they're all about tools for managing your humanity. Why? Not because you need to get better. Scratch that. Okay. We love you the way you are. And if you're a conscious audience listening to this program, you're already conscious. You're already aware. You're already reflecting on how you're living your life. So we're just sharing with you when you get together with kindred spirits who we all want to be the best that we can be without being greedy for it and contribute as much as we can to other people. And that's what life is about. It's about growing into being more loving and more kind and more confident and more feeling good about yourself and living life and giving to others and connecting.
Joanna, oh, I love it. You all those words. Those are like music to my ears. Like you are the one of the mentors that I know that I'm meant to meet in this lifetime. And there's a reason why, because I think nothing is a coincidence. There's also a reason why I started this podcast. So it's to speak to people like yourselves. And I want to go back to the part where you said the wholeness, right? And it's about us remembering, putting it all together that we came from one. And then I used to ask myself, why me? I got the answer somehow. My higher self said, well, you chose to be here. Your soul chose to be here. You said that you're okay and you want this kind of lessons in this lifetime. And you said, because if you think about it, the things that you've gone through sometimes when you ruminate so much, you said, why me, right? Why didn't I had this perfect plan about how my life is going to turn out, but it's not like that. But deep down, you're meant to walk this path. And it's like you're just trying to brush off your intuition. I don't know. Have you had that feeling before? Um, I had that, and it's about accepting it and fully embracing who you, who you, connecting. Because who you are, who are we? Carl Jung says we have our ego, we have those, persona because of we're humans, right?
Absolutely.
And I yeah, and I as I think you're also aware of the age that we're stepping in. Pluto in Aquarius. I love to talk about astrology as well, spirituality. I think the world is raising its consciousness. People like yourself are coming up into shows like mine, slapping them with truths. Now, it is going to hurt to some people, but they cannot help but to face the fact that they need to do the inner work. The truth will always come to light, I feel. I don't know why I'm compelled to say that. It must be the Holy Spirit working right now. And Joanna, I wanted to ask you also about the retreat, like about Sedona and
Okay.
this vortexes around the world. For people who's listening in the first time, what is that? What does it mean?
Okay, good. I just wanted a little bit about what you were saying, that it was, I really connected what you were just saying, and that I really believe my hurts have been my best fuel. My boo-boos, the things that didn't work out. We
Yeah.
don't like to use the words like failure, but you know what I mean? The less successful things, okay? Those
Yeah.
hurts, those boo-boos were really growth opportunities. So whatever's going on with Pluto or anything, and right now I'm saying to the audience, there is so much crapola in the world, in the ethers, in the energy field right now, that things are a little strange out there. So it's not just you if you're feeling at times emotional upheavals. So notice it, monitor it, and do the best you can to just overcome it. You have to have it first before you can overcome it. But once you notice what's going on, we're just picking up a lot of anxiety that's out there in the world with political division and whatever and whatever. Okay. So be very, very, very gentle on yourself. Now, to tell you about Sedona, Sedona is famous for its red rock vortex energy, which is alleged to be healing, growing, consciousness expanding. And I love it here. I do my prayer walk in the Red Rocks every day. In terms of retreats, at times I lead people in excursions out on the Red Rocks, and we do yoga and meditation. Drop ins. Sometimes we do a shamanic energy medicine prayer. People get to talk about what's up for them. And sometimes we do actual physical yoga poses right out in front of the red rocks or under a tree if it's too sunny. And we just do that. And people love it. And at the end, we do a shamanic tarot card. And this is what the universe has for you
Oh, I
today. And
love
I
it.
recommend, you don't have to pay a lot to buy a set of cards. And every once in a while, when you're in your head, just take out your deck of cards and pick one.
Cool one.
Anyway,
Exactly.
we do this in excursions, and I'm doing a new thing. I'm doing new things now. Okay. I just celebrated my 80th birthday. You're supposed to say, you
Oh
don't
my
look 80.
God.
I
Exactly.
just
That is
celebrated that,
you spot
It's
on.
like,
You don't
oh,
look
maybe
80.
80 years old. I can't believe this. How did this happen? Okay, but it happened, and it's kind of wonderful. I'm like at life begins with 80. So I'm shifting.
Oh,
Shifting.
yay.
We just had I do vortex journeys. I used to do 4 or 5 of them a week. Okay. Now enough already. I'm doing vortex journeys for celebrations, for groups, for bridal parties, for college reunions, for people that have something they want to celebrate. I take them out on the land. I find out a little bit about them, and we customize an experience just for them.
Mm.
And it was freezing here and it was raining. So I invited the hikers to my studio, and we did a 4-hour mini retreat. They loved it so much and they left so lighthearted that I started the 4-hour mini retreat. So you don't have to say, when do I have a whole weekend? You know what I mean? And more than $1,000. I can do a mini retreat with Johanna, with my friends when I'm in Sedona, or I can Zoom it from home. If I have 3 or 4 friends who want to do a meditation retreat and be guided in some yoga expanding consciousness or shamanic medicine. So this is my new thing, that I can do a 4-hour mini retreat. And I tell people when they come to Sedona, what I was doing with you, I was providing lodging. I was taking you on hikes. You know what I mean? I was getting ready for the meals, and it was very exhausting. I'd rather just teach you for 4 hours. Following? You know what I mean? And I'll help you get
Yeah.
lodging. I'll advise you about restaurants. You know what I mean? And the trails are
Mm.
everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And, and you don't need somebody there with you. So this is,
Mm.
Sedona, what I'm shifting to now. And what I want to do is I want to go, if I may, I want to go into companies now. And I would like to deal with human resource departments. If I was only an influencer who could go on a TED show, I would like to tell these companies, I have 10 ancient yoga principles that if your company followed this, it would improve their consciousness. It would make them more aware of how they are with each other, and it would improve your performance because there's 5 principles to get along successfully with other people, and there's 5 principles to make yourself the best person you can be. And I call the book Sedona Soul Stretch, 10 Ancient Yoga Principles, 10 Ancient Yoga Principles to raise your consciousness and performance. Okay. And I call it Sedona Soul Stretch. It was written while I'm in Sedona, and it's got
My
lots of
God, I
Sedona
love this.
experiences and vignettes about how I live these principles, examples of living them, and examples of not living them. So, first, the book gives the origin of these ancient principles that are the foundation of yoga, and we all learned them in kindergarten. So, the book is a book of remembering. And then it has the meaning of the principle, the benefits, ways to apply it. Then I put in journal writing, affirmations, drop ins, meditations, and quotes from famous people that are of timeless value about living these principles. So it's a refresher. Could be a coffee table book, could be your next best thing. I don't know. But it's
Mhm.
my list. And I love that I've taken the Sanskrit words out and I've made it very, very, very user friendly. I've taken people in the book on a prayer walk with me. I told you how I used the principal discipline to write my PhD dissertation. I made Wednesday in New York was Prince Spaghetti Day. So I made Wednesday doctoral dissertation day. And that's how I did my
Wow.
discipline to get my doctoral dissertation written. So it's got, fun vignettes and stories, and it makes you look, well, what do you want to have the discipline to do that you're not doing? And you could do it. This is about could, not shoulding on yourself. It's about could, and it's about, well, I can do that. And then the principles, if I may tell you what they are,
Please, please, that is my also follow-up questions.
like, as I said, you learn them in kindergarten, but you don't realize how much we're forgetting them. Like when you're impatient, you're violating compassion. All right. So the 5 principles for social harmony are compassion, truthfulness, non stealing, moderation, and non attachment. So I just toss in questions like compassion. Where can you be kinder to yourself and others? Is there one person on the job you really don't want to be bothered with? Some of us have that. You know what I mean? We have ways we can. I remember being online and getting annoyed at slow clerks and stopping myself and saying, be compassionate. She might have worked a longer day. Okay. And then in truthfulness, how are you where are you truthful and where are you not so very upfront? Okay. And how can you be more true to yourself? And how can you be more true to the people in your life and job? And then just in terms of non-stealing, how can you honor what belongs to others more? I still have maybe a book and a video in my house that belong to other people. If I would remember to go and find them and give them back. Moderation is a big one. What are you doing with your energy? Huh? Where are you squandering it? What don't you have enough time for that's really more important than what's wasting your energy? So a look at what's draining you and how you can fulfill yourself like Popeye with his can of spinach. I mean, it's an old metaphor, but it's a good one. And then non-attachment. This is my car. Nobody drives my car. I always sit here. This is my cup, you know? So anyway, looking at those principles and how well you're living them and how you can live them more fully. Yes, those are the yamas or social harmony success principles. And if you follow those principles of, compassion and truthfulness and honoring others and moderation and non-attachment, when you're working with your clients and when you're working with your job and your peers, your performance will increase. and in community and in your family. Well, the it's about getting out of your head into your heart. The second five principles are for personal growth and mastery and for enhancing your consciousness. Okay. The first one is purity or cleanliness. Having a clean environment and a clean mind, that you don't have hidden agendas for what you're doing. Okay. That you're pretty straight forward, honest, clear. So that's first one is purity and contentment. And my question to you is, how might you clean up your act? Where is it? Um, I mean, it could be anything as simple as you don't do your laundry until you don't have enough socks. So how could you increase the purity and cleanliness in your house and in your life? And the next one is contentment. That's a big one, dear ones. What undermines your contentment, and what percentage of your life are you contented? And what percentage are you itching and moaning? Okay. So contentment is akin to gratitude. And contentment doesn't mean you like everything that happens. Contentment means you can make yourself okay with whatever happens and plant seeds for what's better. Okay. The next one is discipline, which I've already mentioned. And you might look at what you could use a little bit more discipline to get done in your life as a choice by you. Inner discipline is a virtue. I mean, we all have discipline that was imposed upon us by parents and bosses, etc., which is sometimes challenging. But discipline's a good thing. We need to follow it to get things done well, and you can achieve more and more. And there are things that you have on the back burner that I'd like you to think about lifting them up. And then there's self-study. This whole program is about self-study, to be a lifelong learner, to go to bed at night grateful for what worked and setting intentions for what you would like to work better. Okay. Always reflecting on your performance. Like old Mayor Koch of New York used to say, how am I doing? And the last one is the biggest and the best. Surrender to a higher power, whatever you want to call it, and whatever faith you have, with your whole heart. Just knowing that you don't make things happen. Life happens. You participate in life and you keep yourself as aware as you can and always thank the higher power. I say prayers, not please send me. My prayers are, dear God, thank you for sending me what I need, what I want, what I desire. Thank you for blessing this event of mine. Thank you for blessing me on my interview. My prayers are thanking God in advance for sending me what I know a divine power would want me to have. And when I do my prayer walk and I get to this last principle of surrendering to a higher power, I say to the East, thank you, God. I know you've got my back. So these are the five principles for personal growth and self mastery. And they just help you be happy with yourself. It'll keep your act clean, keep you contented, disciplined, and reflecting upon yourself and growing and expanding your consciousness with all there is to connect with in this gigantic, wonderful universe. So there it is. Sedona Soul Stretch. And I just wanted to mention that my book is available. I have to do this promo stuff, you know. It's available as an ebook and a paperback and an audible recording. And if you're okay with it, you know, the book can help you live life with greater awareness, greater joy, and success. But only you can do that. But no buts. It's an and. It's there for you if you use it. And I have a quote from Napoleon Hill that I like to read. Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
Napoleon Hill, famous author of Grow Rich. Okay. Because we don't want to just be spiritual. We want to be successful, rich, have everything. Okay. And enjoy it and
Yes.
enjoy it always in good health. So, Napoleon Hill writes, you are the master of your destiny. You can influence, direct, and control your own environment. You can make your life what you want it to be. Napoleon Hill. So there it is. I'm a cheerleader for you. So and I'm sure that Nick will tell you how to reach me, and I'm always available. And I love to talk about my book. If you have a venue for me to teach these 10 principles, I have a teenage book on these 10 principles as well called Teen Triumph. Teens don't want to be spiritual, they want to win. So I made that book, Teen Triumph 10 Ways to a Winning Life. Teen Triumph, 10 Ways to a
Hmm.
Winning Life. Cartoons for teenagers, etc. So I just want to make myself available to you, and I'm very, very, very grateful that Nick let me share so extensively about what I'm wanting to offer the world. Thank you.
Well, Joanna, you close up the interview yourself, but I want to take you back for a few minutes here and then we're going to wrap it up.
Please.
When you were sharing about your retreats and your journeys that you used to have or offer to people, right? I want to know, it got me curious, like I can't help but to ask this. Who are these people that come to you? What are they issues? What are their issues or they need help with?
I have it all in the book. I have lots of issues. There are parents with teenagers who are coming to Sedona a year after their kids, after the son committed suicide. I mean, there are people who are come to Sedona to heal after tragedies. Okay. There are people who are just coming for fun. They are college buddies. They're having a reunion. They say, we want to go someplace groovy and Sedona with all that wonderful energy. We'll go to Sedona. Okay. A lot of people are setting their weddings here, but I just recently had a couple that they were reuniting. They wanted to reinvent their marriage and I taught them drop-ins, and it was very sweet. You know what I mean? And what they had to combat was the things they worried about before. They had to believe that they had changed for their marriage. You understand what I'm saying? It's just Sedona is considered an energy that promotes growth and healing and shift. So the people who come to me, the lady who has a healing with me tomorrow, she just said she was stuck. Okay. The group that I just had the 4-hour mini retreat with, and I can share this without any names, 5 moms who have autistic children. Okay. And I mean, there were stories about kids running out of the house naked and running around. You know what I mean? The things that these parents had to deal with. However, 2 of them had just had deaths. One of them had her daughter die in 22 and felt bad.
I'm so sorry.
She came to Arizona where her daughter had gone to college in Arizona. Okay. But the other one was they came to celebrate her PhD. But the person who was celebrating her PhD just lost her best friend previous January. Here it's March. She just lost her best friend in January. And her best friend helped her through the PhD. And she was feeling, I don't deserve this PhD. Her friend who died helped her with it, all those phone calls, all the studying, all the papers, all she had to do. She helped me, helped me, helped me. And she's not here. I don't deserve this without her. Now, you can always use humor, New York humor. It's a good thing. I just said, well, what are these other people? Chop liver? In other words, the people that were there celebrating with her. What are they? Chop liver? I I listened to everybody, okay? And I took them around the steps of the medicine wheel where you accept things and you take them to a higher power. And you look at if there's a silver lining in everything that happens. And then you surrender it to God. So I took them around the medicine wheel with different things. And then they were saying, I want this and I want that. And I was saying, in Psych K, we create goal statements by taking the word want out. So you want a healer, you want to teach nurses, you want take want out. So they all started to do strong I ams. I am a teacher. I am a healer. I am a good mother. My son is fine. So, it's about what you affirm. And I really believe my best friend has an autistic child who's a magical, wonderful, beautiful man now. Okay, so he got through all those stages and he succeeded. But God makes some of these parents angels on assignment. So it's me some of the difficulties that people bring. Well, these people all left lighthearted. They left lighthearted. We took a tarot card at the end, and each one got what she was supposed to get. I love how that happens. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And we did a little yoga together. And what we did was we did that drop in heart meditation. And I tried to stop them. I said, how many of you meditate? And I think it was only one of them who had experienced meditation. So when people are new, I let them do just 5 minutes, not 20. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Try to stop a meditation. They wouldn't stop. I said, all right, now, when you're ready, make an affirmation, say it out loud. Nothing. I let it go 10 minutes. They meditated for 20 minutes and they shared and they all wrote to me that the best part of it was they never got out of circumstances and got into their hearts so deeply and appreciated what they love and care about and the people in their lives. It was amazing. It was amazing. And I have them on my website now on the 4 Hour Retreat page with wonderful accolades. So I don't do anything. I do what you do, Nick. I just get people to face what's there, to tell the truth about what's so, and look at what's going on in circumstances and look at what's going on inside and create the highest intention for themselves and help them contribute to themselves. So while they were here in 4 hours, they contributed to themselves through a meditation, through yoga, through laughing, through sharing, through, yes, I do that, but I could. And one woman said as she leaves, thank you for calling me on my stage. I said, well, that's my job. That's what you pay me for. Because this was a woman whose daughter died 3 years ago. And every morning she wakes up feeling bad about it and feels bad about herself all day. That just before her daughter died, they had a myth. You know what I mean? They had a little disagreement about something. And she's punishing herself. So I said, stop. When are you going to stop punishing yourself? And she got it. She really did. So sometimes we need to have somebody tell us, when are you going to stop punishing yourself? All right.
Yes.
And, we're not worthless, but we're not better than anybody else either. You know what I mean? Like when I do these retreats with people, I just say, I'm the bus driver. I do this work on myself. Enough years that it's given me some prowess to do it with you. Plus, I have this New York energy, so I can zing you.
I love that.
No, someone said she in a endorsement, she loved the way I gently pressed them to deal with their issues. Gently
Hmm.
press. We need a little gentle pressure from our loved ones sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I make sure I honor people. That I didn't mean that to sound funny, but you know what I mean. I have I can do an assertive personality. Like when the woman was finished talking about her friend who passed, and we were doing something else with the girls, I said, "What are they? Chopped liver?" You know what I mean? These friends want to love you, and they want to celebrate with you. So everybody cracked up over what are we, chopped liver? You know what I mean? So, does that answer your question well enough about what kind of people are?
Yes.
People come to Sedona to heal, they hear that there's an energy to open them up, to get clear, and that's what all of these techniques that I've studied and that you've studied help people do.
Johanna. Are you like on, I hope you're on podcast every day because we need to get people to get to your retreats. And I would love, I can see it's happening. We will be collaborating in the future.
I would love to do that, and if you bring a group, I would love to take them out on the land with you once, show them a special place, really connect them with those red rocks. I connect every day
I
with
feel
the
like
red.
it's calling me. I feel like it's calling me. I mean,
That's
there
one
were
of our keys.
certain.
Sedona's calling you, Nicolette.
Exactly, exactly. I have I researched some of this vortexes around the world. So we have Bali. That's I mean, this closer to where I am right now because I'm in Southeast Asia, Malaysia. Sedona, yes, that's number one. And then we have one in Costa Rica as well, and then a few other places, right? But somehow I just have this calling to go to Sedona first. So I'm gonna take this as the sign.
Good, good.
Right.
We would love to welcome you.
Yeah, definitely. I will be connecting with you offline after the interview. So,
Thank,
Johanna,
thank you for everything, and thank you for listening, and thank you for providing a forum for us to reach people. The work that you do is just magical, and I am truly, truly grateful for you. You're a blessing, my dear Nicolette.
you are it's been an honor for me to be able to speak with you, Johanna. I mean, that's and you were very candid about your age. 80 years of age. Wow, this is I five the 5 year old wait, 30-year old Nicolette would have not no, she wouldn't have dreamed of this before, but well somehow she knew she was gonna do it. But here we are. Here we are. And
I'm
it's
still ready to
we're
welcome a
expanding.
husband who's maybe 65.
I love it, Joanna. You are the vibe. You have this vibing being in life. I need to definitely work something out. This is my cue to get that Sedona retreat up and going. And then you have a 4 hour mini retreat. You don't have to spend there. If you don't have a weekend, you don't need to, right? So, okay,
I
where can
do if it's
people
a
find
custom
all
retreat.
about this?
I do if
Okay,
it's a custom
okay.
retreat. If you
Do
wanted
you
to
have
come
like
for a
a
weekend and you had a group of 4 or 5 people, I could do a custom retreat.
yes?
I don't want to do this where I say I have a retreat May 1st through 4th, June 20th through 23rd, and November 6th through 9th, and just wait for people to fit in. It doesn't work. Honestly, it's much better to be able to,
Yes.
people are
Yes.
busy. And if they get to Sedona for a weekend from wherever they are, imagine, and they want to do work on themselves and they're ready, 4 hours. But it doesn't mean that it's not nice to stay for a weekend, but people want to do what they want. They want to go to the restaurants they want to go to hike. You know, those who are avid hikers really want to hike. People want to do their own do. You know what I mean? So, um, plus what the retreat's about is this is what you don't know about yourself. Go and do everything you know how to do. But then let's see what surprises we can come up for you. And if you have a group, I take groups out, but I like to take a group of 4 or more because I get a lot of requests from 1 and 2 people, and I don't
Mhm.
want to not to do that many of just being out in the red rocks. So I'll take you out in a group and or I will give you an indoor experience. And I help people find nice places to stay and restaurants. You know, is nothing is out of the question or out of possibility. Okay, everything is possible. I'm just being told to shift myself to what I want to do best. And I love doing the indoor healings, working with one person so deeply. And they go and they've had a shamanic chakra clearing and they're all of a sudden filled with energy and aliveness. Okay. And or if I take a group out, it's wonderful. So those are the things that I want to do. And the mini retreat is just, excuse my expression, it's laser. The mini retreat is just a laser phenomenon that occurred. It occurred. It was a rainy day gift from God. There it was. So, and if you have any questions when you're planning your retreat, if you have any questions, what I think about this, that, or the other,
Yeah.
I'm candid. I will tell you in my own New York parlance what I think of your choices and your
Mm-hmm.
options.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I like when I do retreats, I like to make them 4 days because the first day is the arrival day, and the last day they're worried about leaving. Some of them are
Yeah.
even skipping the morning because they're worried about packing.
Yeah.
So you need to have at least 2 full days. So
Right.
guys, if you're coming to Sedona, you're planning a retreat, plan 4 days for yourself
Mm-hmm.
at least. So that first day is all the travel stuff. The last day is concerned about what you're getting back to. And you have 2 full days. And the first day in Sedona is like an opening. You get used to it. You either want to sleep a lot or you can't sleep. You get used to the energy the first day. And you start to let go of the past, the things you want to release the first day. And then the second day is about stating intentions for what you want to accomplish in your life, what you're looking to bring forth. So, I call it relax, release, receive, and renew, the 4 R's. But those are my suggestions for a retreat, and I love when people make me a part of their retreat. But the thing is, I don't want to do the work of planning the whole retreat, getting the hotel, arranging the restaurants, arranging all the hikes, arranging the meals. Then I'm the one that's tired in the retreat.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I just want to do a vortex journey with you
Mhm.
or a mini indoor experience or a personal healing.
I
This is
love it.
comes.
You are the person. Great. So, when is your next retreat? I can find all of this information on your website.
I just took off the dates that I had just mentioned
Okay.
because I have had nobody in them.
Right.
Okay. And I'm not a marketing guru. You know what I mean? I'm just learning social media because I have to. See, I
Good
thought
for
in my middle,
you. You're 18. My mom's 60. Wait, my mom's 58. So she is I am so I'm so proud of you, Joanna.
what happened was I was taught to build my resume, to make
Mhm.
myself educated and learn
Mm.
this certification, that certification, the other certification. And I have a resume that you can't type on 4 pages. But what I didn't get
I
raised
believe
at,
you.
you got to platform, girl. You got to get out there, and nobody's going to get you into business unless you're high on LinkedIn. I have under 100 followers on LinkedIn. I haven't done anything with LinkedIn. Do you know what I mean? Facebook just happened to have a couple of thousand. It just sort of happened. And Instagram, I can fiddle with. But you understand what I'm saying? My generation was not taught build yourself a platform. And I was like, oh, I don't want to do that stuff. I'd rather not be with the screen. I'd rather be out in nature and be with people. So that's the lament of the senior these days in terms of social. So anything you can do
But I
is
want to
bring.
commend I want to applaud you, Johanna, for putting yourself out there and you speaking on my platform and all the other platforms you're going to speak in the future. I love your work. I feel like I want to work with you soon. And I believe this is the start of something greater than each one of us, but greater than the both of us. So, Joanna, I would love to ask you few, two more, three more questions at least,
Great.
and then we're gonna wrap it up. So we will pivot to a self-worth question because, as you mentioned several times during the interview, my podcast is called "You're Worthless." Well, it's actually the narrative that I used to say to myself. But of course, we are not worthless. We are worth it.
What roles do
What
external?
role? Yes, societal expectations and external validation play in shaping our self worth, and how can we break free from these influences?
Well, it's obvious that we have a need for approval. I think it was
Mm,
wired into us when we were born. I don't know anybody who doesn't have a need for approval, honestly. Okay. I know people who manage it better than others. Okay. But the whole worthless thing was from a need for approval that you didn't get. And it's about giving your power away to them to approve of you. For example, what I said before about I told myself, honey, Johanna, you got to do fine on the interview. Don't worry about it. No self recrimination. Like some of my workshops, like, why did I say I was 80 to so many people? Self recrimination, giving your power away to others for the approval that you need. Do you know that I know people who like other people better than me? There are people, and there are people who, um, uh, just have expressed that I'm a little bit too assertive. All right. You got that? They don't like my assertiveness. All right. So am I going to not be assertive? I'm going to be assertive appropriately. And I'd have to go home and say, honey, you're too much for some people. I'm laughing at this and I'm
Not
lightening up. Okay? I'm giving you examples. You know what I mean? So the question
you're
was
not
the
for everybody.
external,
Everybody's not for you.
but I disagree with that because I think I am for everybody. You know what I mean?
Mm,
But there's a lot of competition. I'll let it go there. Okay. No, but I understand what you're saying, Nicolette. Everybody is not everybody's cup of tea. Right? So that's the wonderful way of saying it to the audience. Everybody is, not your cup of tea, and you're not everybody's cup of tea. I go, what? How could that be? Okay. So if you could just be, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm mine. I surround myself with people
exactly.
who I'm their cup of tea. Okay. And the other ones, if I'm related to them, I do my best at the dinner parties. You know what I mean? So the other ones, we just do the best that we can. All right. Now, the question about how do you overcome it? You work with yourself, you manage it. And one thing I suggest to people when they want to get rid of something, give it a name, humanize it. Like, um, I have a part of myself called Gertrude. I don't like her. So when Gertrude comes out, I just say to myself, there's Gertrude again. All right. Okay. Let it go. Now your selfless one. What's her name? Is she one of the wicked stepsisters? Who is your worthless person? Give her a name. What would you call her?
Right now,
Got a name?
I can't think of one. I don't.
Useless. Let's call her useless.
Yeah, exactly. Useless. Yeah, because I don't want to associate the name of that of a person who might have that name, and then when I see that person, it becomes that I identify that person is identified automatically with that part that I do not
Right. Well, we could do
that
it
I
like the
dislike.
Native Americans do it, faint of heart. Faint of heart. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
We could call you weak side.
Mm, yes, the
Yes,
weak
you're
side.
weak side.
Yeah, weak side.
And
Weak side. Yeah.
Gertrude, I apologize. Forgive me. I once had a very stern Gertrude. You're absolutely right. Gertrude, lots of love, forgiveness, open your heart. Okay, we could call, you know, you could call it a pothole. You could just say to yourself, I just came back from doing my
No, you know
workshop for
what? I'm just
300
gonna call
people.
it.
I'm
I'm
eating
gonna
my
call it the
dinner.
not enough.
Call it
Not not enough. Yeah,
not good
not
enough?
enough.
Okay. Why don't you call her inadequate? Miss Inadequate, or Mrs. Inadequate, or Mr. Inadequate. And not good
Mm-hmm.
enough is perfect. Okay. And thank you for reminding me to never use a real name because I wouldn't want to offend anybody ever. Yeah.
You're very welcome.
Watch me get
I
letters
just
and emails
thought of that.
from women. Well, did I answer your question well enough with my silly names?
Yes, yes. It was beautiful. I love it. There's no right or wrong answer. And frankly, everything that we've spoken about today, just that's essentially the answer. Like the answer is all within you. We don't need to find it outside externally. Only if we're only brave enough to look within, we don't need to find, we already found. And you just need to. This is your lifetime. And if you have the privilege to be aware of
Absolutely.
that in this lifetime, then you do it. So thank you for that, Johanna. Okay,
I
now
think everybody,
any last
I think we
message?
forget. I think we're
Okay.
aware of it. That's what I told you my book was about, increasing awareness, increasing remembering that you are not
Mm.
the not good enough part of yourself, remembering that that's not the true you, remembering that you're bigger than that not good enough personality, side personality. I'm sorry, you had another question.
Yeah. Now, before we close off, finally we're here now. Is there a message, last message for you to impart to our listeners today?
Well, I'll just share with you to go to bed being grateful, wake up intending to enjoy the day. And there was something else that I wanted to say. What was it? Like yourself. Like yourself and love yourself. And one of my important things is that I want to feel good about myself and I want to feel good about my life. So like yourself, love yourself, feel good about yourself, and notice when you don't feel good about what's going on. See what you can shift and feel good about your life and notice what you want to shift in your life. It's all about changing and shifting with the changing times that we're living in. And you have the power. Yes, you do. We do.
Brilliant. Okay. That is the wrap of our today's inspiring episode with Dr. Johanna Mosca with us. Dr. Johanna, thank you for your wisdom and for your work to continue to uplift the world and others. For our listeners, this has been your Wordless. Read that again. The juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, remember, if you've ever felt wordless, you are not alone. Your soul chose to be here, to matter. And for that reason, you are worthy. A huge thank you to you again, Dr. Joanna, to all of you for listening. Until next time, I am Nick Nieras. Keep shining, keep growing, and always remember, you are worthy and you are enough. See you in the next episode. Thank you for your time, Joanna. Hi, Joanna. How are you? Good evening to you.
Hello, Nick. Lovely to meet you.
Well, thank you for reaching out and thank you for saying yes to be interviewed today. I'd like to introduce myself to you and to all of our listeners formally. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again. The juxtaposition of your very soul. Now, I'd like to read the introduction of you to all of our listeners today who's tuning in for the first time and who's already subscribed to this show. And then we can get right into the conversation of today's topic, which is yoga, shamanic healing, and meditation. Hello, everyone. We have Johanna Mosca here with us, or Dr. Johanna. She's a winner of the 6 consecutive Best of Sedona Awards 2019 to 2024 for her Sedona Spirit Yoga and Vortex journeys. Now, Johanna is recognized for her love of sharing yoga and life coaching amid Sedona's red rocks. Captivated by the mystical beauty of Sedona, Johanna left her long-time job as an educational consultant in New York City in 1992 and camped out in Sedona for 14 months. Now, she so enjoyed practicing yoga at Vortex sites that she founded Sedona Spirit Yoga and Vortex Journeys to share her passion for both yoga and the magnificent red rock Vortexes. So she has also 33 years of experience teaching in yoga and pursuing advanced studies in yoga and meditation training. She's also an author. So now I don't want to go more details because this is very theoretical. I'd like to hear, and I'm sure you do too, who Johanna is and what does she do exactly. So Johanna, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Nick. Where do I start? Who am I?
Love this episode? Now, transformation doesn't end here. Head on to at holistic.lifestyle_with_Nick. That is on my Instagram. Or head on to my website, www.denigneras.holisticlifestyle.com for more info on my coaching framework, which is the Worthy, Authentic, and Abundant Framework, digital guides, and my upcoming events such as retreats and master classes and workshops. Now, I also do intuitive readings where we get to check on your soul path. And if you're also wanting to check